GoLongTD.com, humanizing pro football journalism.
What's up, everyone? This is Favre with the one and only Brett Favre. Brett, it's good to see you, man. What's happening in your world?
Well, still haven't had rain. The last time it rained here was July 17th, which is totally unusual for this region. I mean, an afternoon thunder shower is more common, like every other afternoon, not July 17th. And it's been hot and dry. One good thing about it is the humidity's been low. I don't want to sound like a weather person, and I always say this, but so if I do, forgive me. But the El Nino or Nina, whatever, has been pushing. It's like a straight shot from California, bringing in dry air, but it's keeping all the storms away. If there's any benefit to it, if there was ever a time that we would have gotten a hurricane, it would have been this summer. Hurricane season's not over, but the Gulf of Mexico has been super hot. We've had temperatures at 109, 110. Humidity has been typically 75% humidity or higher is normal. More like 85, 90. So typical summer day here could be 95 or it could be 88 with the humidity 85, 90%. That's probably the standard. It's been 105, 108 with humidity at 60%. So it's felt okay. But we need rain bad, man. I spend like when we're done with this show, I got a big water tank that I just connect to my truck and I ride around and water stuff that's dying. And I can do it all day and all night.
I chuckle. You say El Nino, and I just think of Chris Farley in the SNL days when he's the human El Nino. But
I miss that guy, man.
Oh man, that was right in your heyday. You know,
he loved the Packers too. He's from Madison.
Did you know Chris Farley? Did you guys have a relationship?
Yeah.
Really?
We never partied together, thank goodness. But we actually were on, I think it was Leno together. And, this was way, 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 way back. But yeah, I knew him. He was as funny in person as he is on camera.
There's just, there's such a short list of people you really get pissed that they died as young as they did. Chris Farley, even Tupac, Jim Croce, the album right behind me. The talent that these people had and they could have given the world for the next 5, 6, 7 decades. It's, it's sad.
Yeah, it is. I agree.
So I just got back from Atlanta, Brett. Some would say it's, the house that Brett Favre built. Well, actually it was a different stadium, but yeah, that was your old stomping grounds. 1991. Do you look back fondly at that year, or is it like, a dark time with Jerry Glanville that you'd like to forget?
I do look back fondly. I didn't play. That sucked. But I wasn't ready. I didn't deserve to play. What would I have done had I gone in a important situation? I played maybe 5 plays. We were in the playoffs. We were down by like 50 and I went in. It didn't matter. So I never really got a chance to play when it mattered. Probably a good thing. I thought I was ready. But I don't believe I was. But the great thing about Atlanta, I have to always be grateful for Atlanta, because without Atlanta, I would have not made it to Green Bay. Strange how things work out, but, met some great teammates. Dion was one of those, and we've maintained a great relationship throughout. It was a year that the Falcons, I don't know how long it had been, if they had ever made the playoffs before 91. I'm sure they did, but it was a playoff year. Chris Miller, the starting quarterback, had an amazing year. Just couldn't miss. Michael Haynes was a tremendous receiver. Andre Rison had 130 catches. It was fun. We were too legit to quit. I don't know if you remember those. MC Hammer, one of his main songs, maybe his best song, was "Too Legit to Quit." And he was at like every game, hanging out on the sidelines. It was wild. It was the wild, wild west at its best.
That's amazing. Yeah, I was 4 years old, so I wasn't really into MC Hammer quite yet. But I've seen the documentary and watched the clips and read as much as I can. What a fun freaking team. How did you and Deion Sanders hit it off? And you said you guys maintained a relationship. I mean, holy, his world is blown up.
I played against him twice in college. He picked me off once for pick six. We joked about that initially. I mean, he knew who I was. But for whatever reason, if Deion were on this with us right now, he could probably answer this, but for whatever reason, he took me under his wing. I don't know why. I didn't do anything to garner that, but he was, he was obviously the most popular and visible player and star on the team. He also was playing with the Braves at the time. So, I mean, this sounds crazy, but Sewanee, Georgia was where we practiced. And there was a hotel right there, and right behind the hotel was a facility that we dressed in and met in. And then right behind it was a practice field. And at the end of practice, a helicopter would land on the practice field. He would jump in, and he would be playing baseball before I got home. Because it was about, without traffic, 45-minute drive down to Fulton County Stadium. With traffic, it could be forever. So they would helicopter him in. And, but he took me under his wing right away and, was always nice to me. Was always, we were cracking jokes and we just maintained a friendship throughout. He took me shopping because I wear the same clothes every day. I still do. And, he was like, he was prime time, obviously. Andre was showtime. And he said, "You're going to be country time." So he still to this day, he calls me country. He's like, so one day we were in the locker room and he said, "Country, I'm going to take you shopping." So he said, I don't know if a couple of days later when we had some off time, he said, "I want you to meet me at such and such downtown." I met him. He bought me all kinds of clothes. I mean, sharp clothes. And I'll never forget these blue, like suede, not tennis shoes, but not loafers. It was kind of in between. And I probably pronounced it wrong, but Ellesse, E-L-L-E-S-S-E, I think is what it was. That's the only clothes I wore the whole time was those shoes. I love the shoes, blue suede shoes. But I never wore. He's like, "Country, when you gonna wear like the suit?" I'm like, "Deion, I'm not a suit guy." But he bought me all this stuff. And,
did you return it? Like, did you bring it back, or did you?
No, I kept it. No, I definitely didn't want to offend him. But he's busted my balls all for 30 years about that. The only thing he wore was the shoes I bought. But we've maintained a great relationship throughout.
Yeah, I remember you saying in your Packer days, like, if I could wear a T-shirt and jeans every day, I would. That's exactly how I feel, right? I always get mad when just because there's a stain on the shirt doesn't mean we have to throw it away, hon. Like we can keep it. My wife would just toss it. Hey, let's hang on to that. It serves its function.
Yeah, if it feels good and you feel like it looks good, regardless of what everybody else thinks, you like it. And men are kind of that way for the most part. But yeah, I cringed with all the head coaches. I was hoping and praying that none of my head coaches would make us wear a suit and tie, because I would feel so uncomfortable. And fortunately, it was optional. dress nice, but if you want to wear a suit and tie, it's optional. So I was like, yes.
Well, we're going to get into those Atlanta days a little bit more here on the show. Again, this is Favre, raw, unfiltered, unvarnished football talk with the man who played the way I think everybody in America dreams of playing the sport. We're bringing this to you every other week, as much as Brett's bandwidth allows. No ads, no sponsors, no VC money, just myself and Brett bullshitting, talking football, talking life, nothing off limits. And our founding members are going to be able to hop on the end of these calls and ask Brett questions. And also, I mentioned this to you before we hit record, Brett. I was in Atlanta, and Taylor Heinicke is in there. He's a backup quarterback. He wears number 4 for you, idolized you in every conceivable way. I mean, he lit right up when I mentioned this show. And I got to think there's a lot of Taylor Heineckes out there, coast to coast. So this has been a lot of fun. This is episode number 2.
Yeah, that feels good when I hear that. That, I grew up idolizing or emulating. I wanted to play like you. Anytime I hear that, I don't know if there's a better thing that can be said about me than something like that. And he's scrappy. I like him. I love having him on my team.
We'll have to get him on the show then at some point. We're definitely going to welcome on some guests. Ron Wolf is in. He'll be joining us. Play-by-play man Wayne Larrabee at some point. We'll have some fun with this show.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm looking forward to it.
We did this on the first episode too, Brett, just kind of connecting your past with the present. And that way we can kind of relive some old stories, yet follow the NFL today. And watching some of these quarterbacks, maybe it was Josh Allen, like seeing him Monday night running all over the place, trying to run through people, over people. That's Josh's game. It kind of popped in my mind. Man, I wonder if Brett has any thoughts on Josh's game and really any young quarterbacks today, because there are so many guys at that point of their career where they're ascending. They're on the cusp of a Super Bowl, of MVPs. They're right there, just like you were early in your career. And what does it take to kind of get over that hump? But when you watch Josh, do you see part of yourself in Josh Allen?
Absolutely, I do. Big arm, mobile. Now he's a much bigger quarterback than really any we've ever seen. He's not the tallest, but just overall athletic ability, size, arm strength, playmaking ability. He has it all. The downside of that, a lot of times, and you don't see many players like that. The downside of that is you feel like there's nothing you can't do, and that gets you in trouble at times. Happened to me. It's happened to Josh Allen. It happened in the first game. Had he just managed the game a little bit better, they would have won. Especially when Aaron went out, it's a different ball game. Now, I can say all this in hindsight because I learned it over the years. He knows what he's capable of. He knows that he probably lived for better days sometimes. But that, what makes him so special is the blessing and the curse. And I'll give you a good example. So Ty Detmer and I, really close friends. We were teammates for several years. He was my backup and hunting buddy, and we did a lot of stuff together. Well, I threw a ball. I don't know if it was practice or in a game, and we were watching film after. And it was like through 3 guys, we called it a dagger. It was like 20 to 25-yard crossing route. And I threw it and just smoked it in there. Never should have thrown that ball, but I did. And Ty was like, why on earth would you think you can make that throw? And I said, well, because I can. And I said, you wouldn't make that throw? And he said, like, hell no. I know my limitations, which is true. A quarterback that doesn't have that ability knows, like Ty knew that this guy's open, but I can't make that throw because the window's going to close too quickly. So I'm going to check it down. He knew his limitations, and it worked for him. He had a great college career, and he had a good pro career. So when you sign a guy like Josh Allen, you take the good with the bad and hope that over time he eliminates not completely, because you want him to do what he does best. You just want him to be smart at certain times.
Thank you, everyone, for making your way to Go Long and checking out our new show, Favre. If you'd like to get the full episode, become a paying subscriber at golongtd.com. Monthly options available, annual options available. And when you become a VIP, you'll get a copy of my book, The Blood and Guts, How Tight Ends Save Football, a Go Long sweatshirt, crew, or hoodie, your choice. And you can hang out with Brett Favre every other week on the show and ask him anything you'd like. Thanks so much. Hope to see you very soon.